Wow, the WBC really digging themselves into a hole. They say that Fury versus Joshua, without a doubt, is the biggest event of the century. We're going to talk about that. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. World Boxing Council, aka the WBC president Mauricio Suleiman, has suggested that a heavyweight bout with Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua is the biggest fight that could be made. I'm going to read some direct quotes. Make sure you guys smash the like button if you're entertained with the video and like the news. Then smash the like button. This is what WBC Prez Suleiman said. Quote, "This will be the first humongous fight in the social media era. It is such a different era from radio than television pay-per-view. Now with the social media events, they get a completely different magnitude worldwide. If that fight is to happen, it's going to be without a doubt the biggest event of the century and one of the biggest in the sport." Mauricio Suleiman goes on to say, "I would say it's the biggest fight since Lennox Lewis against Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield. I think each era belongs to its history of when it happened, but without a doubt, Fury versus Joshua is a huge event that will go to the record books." So that's Mauricio Suleiman's opinion. Now I want to give my opinion. I think Mauricio Suleiman is grossly wrong. I don't know what type of boxing he watches other than his events, but I feel like I have a good pulse on the boxing world, having popular platforms, having been done this and doing this for quite some time. And literally, I don't even hear anyone talking except for a select few people even talking about Wilder Fury. Some people in the UK and a couple UK channels, Bob Arum is doing some, interviews, but there's a lot of channels that aren't even worried about Joshua or Fury, right? So Mauricio Suleiman, at this point, he's letting his bias be shown and, his favoritism, whatever you want to call it. And at this point, I feel like he should just go on and become a promoter himself. Just go apply for his promoter license, because he's clearly either in bed, like in the proverbial sense, with certain people, or whatever the case may be. But so many things wrong with this. First of all, I'm not sure if he has a good grasp on the language that he uses and some of the English words that he uses. For example, Teofimo Lopez. He keeps saying Teofimo is undisputed, but by definition, what Teofimo and Devin Haney are experiencing, plus Ryan Garcia has another belt, but realistically between at least Devin Haney and Teofimo is everything but the actual definition of undisputed. To be undisputed, that means uncontested, without a doubt, undoubtedly non-contested. And that's exactly what Devin Haney is doing. So by definition, you can't be undisputed when Devin Haney has a WBC belt. He's undefeated, just like Teofimo. It's a great fight, and the two haven't fought. But then again, this is all confusion that has been contrived and started from the WBC. The WBC created these messes, trying to get greedy and deeper into the boxing business and creating franchise titles and stuff like that. What happened to the good old days in boxing where it was all about the fighter in the event? Now you're seeing it's like the sanctioning bodies, some of them, they want to be all in the video. Any of your artists want to remain artists, don't want to have to worry about the executive producer, all in the video dancing. And it's like some of the sanctioning bodies are making it about them. Like, for example, Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is a guy who wasn't a lifelong boxer, and he was coming from the MMA. It was a big event. WBC jumped in, and they had this is the money belt or whatever they called it, and they made a belt for that particular fight with snake skin and all this. Same thing when Canelo was mad at them, mad at the WBC, and he was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at a catchweight. It was 164.5. They made a separate belt for that particular fight. I think it was the Huicho belt. And why does that belt being fought at a man-made, made-up weight division, 164.5, and Canelo didn't even accept it? Why is that belt required? You know, then the WBC has done recent things like Canelo sues Golden Boy, gets out of contract with Oscar, gets out of his DAZN contract, even though he went and fought on DAZN his last fight, and they add the belt for the Caleb Smith fight. They allow more clenbuterol in your system, right? These types of things. All the while, when Deontay Wilder and his brother and fans came out with questions saying, hey, what's up with Fury's gloves? They don't look copacetic. The WBC turned their back and said, if you believe that, you're stupid and you're robbing one of the greatest victories of all time and this and that. And fast forward to the future, in the same vein, now he's talking and doing interviews with the Sun and advocating and promoting for Joshua versus Fury and calling it the biggest event of the century, which is cap. Bob Arum, in a clip I will play for you guys, said that Anthony Joshua is basically unknown in America. Listen to the clip. I'm going to play the clip right now.
Sure. I'm sure Eddie is, otherwise Eddie wouldn't have proposed it with us. So, yeah, I would say the answer to that question is yes.
Is America, i.e. Las Vegas or New York, featuring in the talks as possible venue?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So,
absolutely not. Look, let me, again, I don't want to inject something that gets somebody upset, but Anthony Joshua doesn't mean very much in the United States. Fury has made himself part American. People sort of get a kick out of him and love his act. So I don't think that the U.S. is the appropriate place for that fight. The fight should either be in the United Kingdom or some other place that put up a site fee.
So you guys just heard it from Bob Arum himself. Bob Arum stated that Joshua is not holding much weight and his name doesn't represent much in America, so they wouldn't make the fight in America. Now, obviously, he also said in this interview that they would likely put the fight elsewhere in the UK, or somebody who's going to play a big site fee like UAE or possibly Singapore or wherever. But here's the thing. America is such a big, lucrative boxing capital, and you have one of the promoters of Tyson Fury who's telling you that Joshua is not even a big marquee name, and neither is Tyson Fury. So how is the WBC coming out saying Fury Joshua is one of the biggest events of the century, something with that much emphasis, and in one of the major boxing markets like America? Bob Arum just told you that Joshua's name holds no weight in America, so they could never put the fight here. And you have the WBC, which is kind of contradicting that by saying this is the biggest fight since Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. And try again. Lennox Lewis was, I believe, from Canada, but then he represented the UK. And Mike Tyson, hi, I'm Mike Tyson, catch my fight with Lennox Lewis, I'm gonna fight, right? Then he was an American fighter from New York. So that was two worlds colliding. So you had UK interest, you had Canadian interest, you had USA interest, and you had worldwide global interest. And he's putting this in the same space as that. And Bob Arum just told you in a recent interview that Joshua basically ain't popping in America. Beyond that, again, I'm not sure if Suleiman fully grasped some of the English words that he's using. Undisputed. Other words like century. A century is 100 years, right? So how is this the biggest event without a doubt in the century when the last 100 years also encompass the Mayweather versus Pacquiao fight? I guarantee you, Fury versus Joshua will not outsell or outperform or do a larger live gate than Mayweather versus Pacquiao. I don't think it will do a larger, be more lucrative basically, or do more pay-per-views than Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. So once again, what is the WBC president Suleiman even talking about, saying this is the biggest event of the century? I don't care if it's in the social media age. Mayweather versus Pacquiao in 2015 will cop a squat all over this fight. You hear Bob Arum and a couple people talking about it, and that's it. You don't really hear much of an interest. Andy Ruiz did a great job of beating Joshua and ruining and hurting his rep, from my view, and setting him back. Even the fight with Kubrat Pulev, people expected Joshua to win, and he did, but it's not going to hype that up that much. You know what I mean? Just beating a guy we know you should beat, 40-year-old guy. And then Tyson Fury, there's a lot of people who believe that Tyson Fury cheated. And for whatever reason, old media, WBC, Bob Arum, they conduct interviews and they're acting like this doesn't exist. Just because you don't want it to exist doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? And I just don't see Fury versus Joshua really being that big. If it was so big, then why would America not be a big option, right? I challenge that statement from the WBC. I believe Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis is a bigger fight. Ryan Garcia has a crazy fan base. Oscar De La Hoya is backing him. He signed a Golden Boy. And then you have on the other coin, Gervonta Tank Davis, crazy rabid fan base, signed to Mayweather Promotions. That would be a hell of a promotion. And that's a fight that they're talking about possibly happening. So I disagree 1000% with Mauricio Suleiman. I definitely don't think that's the biggest fight to be made, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. The last thing I will say is it's hilarious that people are acting oblivious to the fact that Wilder has Tyson Fury in arbitration. Once again, why would boxing continue to talk about a fight that we don't even know if it is legally next? Why would you be looking, like, why do one interview like Bob Arum is doing, like Mauricio Suleiman is doing, and giving any predictions or any outlook or thoughts for Fury Joshua when you don't even know what the next step is and if Wilder's due a shot? I think that's a huge slap in the face and disrespect to Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Let me know how I did in this video. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.